Hello YouTube! In today's video, we are taking a look at the iMac G3 again. In the first episode of the series, we reassembled the iMac because I had taken it apart due to some cosmetic damage that the iMac has, and I had taken out all the plastic pieces that were broken and rattling around. We also reassembled it by putting in the hard drive again, and we did test it, however it sounded like it was cooked, as well as the speakers, but they do still kind of function. But we also put a Tiger installer on that Seagate hard drive. However, when we actually tried to use it in the PowerBook series, episode 3, which I'll have linked right here, we found out that the installer did not work at all. So it is possible that we could try and use this hard drive still, even though it does not sound like it's in good condition. But even if that's the case, then we'll use that hard drive as the hard drive for this iMac, or at least a dedicated partition just for the iMac. But that's also why there was no hard drive on the screen, because the hard drive installer did not work at all. So that's why we have this. This is a USB flash drive, which has a Tiger installer, and we also used this with the PowerBook, so we know it works. And even though USB 1.1 on this iMac is slow, this works, while that did not. So instead, we'll be using this as the installer, and we'll use that as the hard drive for the iMac, just in case the built-in one does not work. So now, let's plug in the USB drive, as well as the FireWire hard drive, with power applied to the hard drive, as well as the Apple keyboard and the Dell mouse standing by. Let's power on the iMac. After holding down the Option key on startup, we actually do get the installer now. So without further ado, let's click on it and then continue. It actually worked. The installer worked. Of course it did. We already used it with the PowerBook, but seeing it on the G3, especially on the CRT, it feels so different yet cool at the same time. So let's actually continue with the setup and see if the hard drive will actually work. So I've managed to reduce the flicker on the CRT because it was getting really annoying on the camera anyways. But in disk utility, the Mac Store hard drive is actually showing up. So it does recognize it, but it cannot use it. However, it's not like the option to erase it is grayed out, so we can try to erase it. Or if we go into these other settings, we might be able to do something with it. But for now, I guess we'll just try erasing it. And we'll try renaming this Macintosh HD. And the spacebar on this keyboard is actually not functional. So we'll erase the disk, and disk erase failed. So it seems like the disk just does not want to work. And there isn't really anything else we can do with it. I guess we could try Unix system and see if that does anything. And it failed again. We probably will also not be able to partition it. It will not work. A RAID array is definitely not going to work. And restoring it, that will not work either. So we'll leave that alone for now, but we'll head over to the external Seagate hard drive. And I guess we'll go into the partition settings on the drive. So that way we can make a dedicated partition just for macOS Tiger, for the G3, to partition drive, and we'll make the install a 100 gigabyte partition. I've plugged in an additional keyboard so that way I can actually use the spacebar. So I renamed it to macOS X Tiger, and I did repartition it. And our drive is now ready to be used. So I have a 100 gigabyte partition just for the installation, and we have this extra Untitled 2 partition, which we can always edit. So that way, if we want to do something with this partition, maybe use it for another Mac or just for some storage, we can use it. But now, after exiting disk utility, we can now use our macOS X Tiger partition and check the options. It will install macOS, and then we'll see if it'll work. And before we actually do anything, we'll deselect the additional drivers so that way it does not take up all that much space. It'll only take up 1.9 gigabytes, and we'll try and install. So what's interesting about this install is because we're doing it over USB 1.1, instead of going down, the remaining time is actually going up. So I just saw it go from 17 to 18 minutes, and now we just saw it go to 19 minutes. macOS Tiger has successfully installed. So we are at the setup screen again, and this will look very familiar if you guys watched the PowerBook video, because we did the exact same setup just recently. So we'll go ahead and continue. And we do not have any information. Now, because this does actually have a airport card, we will try and connect to the internet. But for now, I'll just skip it, and we'll try it later once we're actually in the main system. And of course, with the registration information, we'll just do Command Q and then click skip. And for this, we'll just call it Tiger. And we'll do the same for here. And no password. Okay. The date and time is not perfect, and because this does not have the PRAM battery, it won't be saved anyways. But if we connect to the internet, it might connect with the servers, and that way it'll get the right time every time. And of course, don't forget to register. Enjoy your Apple computer. And now we're at the main screen. Once it'll load anyways. So the keyboard assistant popped up, but I'm pretty sure that's for the additional keyboard I plugged in just to get the space bar. But for now, I'm just going to ignore that. And we have the Tiger install. Now, we also have a bunch of these untitled partitions, and that's because the USB flash drive is holding 4 of these partitions. But we also have the untitled 2 partition, which is part of the main macOS installed hard drive because we made 2 partitions. And now we can probably eject all of these because we won't need the flash drive anymore. But we have a functional install of Tiger now. And even though it's not on the internal hard drive, it still works. Now we can actually begin using the iMac, which is really cool because up until now, this iMac hasn't been functional. So now we'll be able to use it. And if we go into About This Mac, we'll see that this is version 10.4 because that's what the installer is. And in order to connect to the wireless, I'm pretty sure I'll have to update to 10.4.11 because there are added security and compatibility updates in the newer versions. But this has a 500 megahertz PowerPC G3 processor, which is really cool. And we also have 192 megabytes of SD RAM. Now this can accept more, I'm pretty sure, but 192 is still a pretty respectable amount, and it'll definitely be helpful for running macOS Tiger. So now, because I cannot connect with the airport card as of right now, I'll have to plug in an Ethernet cable and run software update, because software update does still work. And we also saw that in the PowerBook episode. But once we get this fully up to date, we'll try and see if the wireless will work. This is an older airport card, so I'm not sure if the one in here will work compared to the PowerBook one, because the PowerBook one does have an extreme compared to just an airport card. But we'll see if it'll work. So this is probably one of the downsides of having an external drive. I accidentally knocked the power connector on the drive, and it lost power for a little bit while I was trying to connect the Ethernet cable. But the drive is powered back up now, but we're just stuck on a beach ball, and we cannot do anything. It seems to be just frozen, really. So we'll probably just have to restart the iMac. But the Ethernet jack is connected now, so we'll be able to use that and see if software update will actually run. So I'm not exactly sure why, but the factory defaults on the CRT are now off. You can still use it, and you can adjust it. But I'm not sure why the defaults are suddenly different, so I'm going to have to change them and make it look more normal. But this is also a feature that is not included in other versions of macOS installs because this has a CRT. So it has a dedicated geometry section in which you can actually adjust the display. And these are only applicable to a CRT display because these adjust various different things in the way it actually shows the display, because a CRT is, of course, a CRT. It's not an LCD, so you can do different things with the height, the width, adjust the keystone, parallelogram. You can also rotate it, which is pretty cool. But now I'm just going to have to adjust these because this is not normal, but at least it gives us the option to fix it. So we got it looking a lot better. I'm not sure exactly why it did that, but at least we are able to change it within the settings, so that is pretty cool to do. And I have connected it to the internet, and hopefully we should be able to run software update now. So it's checking for new software, and considering it's still loading at this point, it's probably connected to the internet now, so we'll be able to update this installation of macOS Tiger. And once we go up to 10.4.11, hopefully we'll also be able to use the wireless in here, because it's really cool to have a wireless CRT iMac. So just like the PowerBook, we have the combined update for 10.4.11, as well as some Java updates, so we'll install those, and we'll obviously have to restart for the macOS update, but at least we're able to use software update, and it's really cool to see that these are still active and online, even on the CRT iMac. So we are now on version 10.4.11, so it has updated, but now we also have some more updates, which should take a little while, but after this series of updates, there'll probably be a couple more, and then after that, everything should really be up to date on this version of Tiger. And with that, software update did its job, because we're now running a completely up-to-date version of Tiger, 10.4.11, with all of the Java and other miscellaneous updates installed. And now if we check out system preferences, we can see that it's September. So it has been a while, because considering the rest of the video was shot back in July, that's like 2 months. So I have been pretty busy, unfortunately, but I do hope that will change soon, because I do want to continue making videos. But with this time off of making stuff, I fortunately have had time to reorganize things. So if you haven't noticed, we are actually on a desk, not just on the floor. So with that, this is the secondary desk that I've had for quite a while now, but I just really haven't been able to use, because it was mainly just for storage, but now it's actually a functional desk, and I have enough space for my keyboard and everything on here, basically. It can hold the weight of the iMac plus another CRT monitor here. With that, I do hope to make more videos. With this extra space and just reorganization, it should definitely help with making videos. And it hopefully means that I'll be able to use this iMac more, because it's actually in a usable spot now. So what's left to do with the iMac? Basically just install software and have fun. I also want to see if I can get the internet to work on this, because having a CRT wireless iMac would be super cool, but that'll definitely take some tinkering to do, because this has an original airport card, and while I believe I can put an airport extreme card in here, the only one I have is the one in the PowerBook, and I don't want to take that one out, but I'll see what I can do with the airport card in here, and hopefully it'll work. I do also have older airport models which would work natively with this, and so if we could set up some sort of communication between it and the airport, we could probably get that to work. If not, I have an airport extreme here that can plug in with the Ethernet port and give us internet that way. But still, having a wireless CRT iMac would definitely be fun. And that'll definitely be a video in the future. And like I said, it has been a while, but I do plan to make more videos in the future. And hopefully I'll have more time in the future now, and considering everything's reorganized, that'll definitely help out, because this isn't exactly a small thing. And considering I can actually use it on a desk now with space to actually film and use it, that is pretty cool in itself. So I guess this is the end of the video, because we've updated the iMac and it is working. I don't have a set upload schedule, but if you guys do want to keep track of uploads, then have the notification bell set. Be sure to just stick around and see what new stuff will pop up. But I do have a lot of videos planned, and I do have a lot of things that I want to record. It'll just take some time, but hopefully now that I have more time and everything being reorganized, and I can actually use things how they're supposed to be used, that'll definitely be fun. And I just want to say thanks for 500 subscribers, which is crazy considering I haven't even uploaded in that long, since the last part of this video basically. But I do want to say thanks for 500 subscribers, and hopefully we'll be able to continue that with more video uploads and just having more fun with awesome tech. So if you've enjoyed this video, then be sure to consider subscribing and maybe leave a comment or something. And if you guys want to stick around for more, then stick around, because we have a lot of awesome stuff in the works. And as always, thanks for watching.